Rory McIlroy just destroyed a U.S. Open tee marker on live television, and what happened next might end his season. But here's the thing nobody is talking about. This didn't start at Oakmont. It didn't start on the 17th hole. It didn't even start this week. There's a decision the USGA made weeks before the U.S. Open that quietly set all of this in motion. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how it connects. Stick with me. And if you're new here, welcome to Analysis PGA, where we go deeper than the highlights. Hit subscribe right now, because we break down what the cameras catch, but the broadcasters never fully explain. 2 months ago, Rory McIlroy was standing on the 18th green at Augusta, crying tears of joy, having just completed the career Grand Slam, one of the most emotional moments in golf history. The whole sport stopped and celebrated with him. Fast forward to last Friday at Oakmont. Same man, same hands, completely different person. He smashed his iron into the rough on 12. He destroyed a U.S. Open tee marker on 17, and a piece of it flew back and hit him in the leg on live television, in front of thousands of people and millions watching at home. Then he walked straight past every single reporter and said almost nothing. That's not the Rory from Augusta. That looked like a man carrying something heavy, something that had been building for a long time. And here's what most people scrolling to the highlights completely missed. This goes back weeks before Oakmont even began. Keep watching. It started at the PGA Championship. The USGA flagged Rory's driver as non-conforming. Scotty Scheffler got the same ruling. But Rory absorbed most of the public heat. Within hours, corners of the golf world turned on him. People called him a cheater. Some said he was a fake Masters champion, just weeks after completing the hardest achievement in the sport. Think about that for a second. You reach the top of the mountain. Then within weeks, strangers online are calling everything you build a lie. He switched drivers. Then at the Canadian Open, with a completely different setup, he missed the cut. The questions started piling up. Was it the new equipment? Was it something deeper? By the time Oakmont came around, he went back to something close to his original setup. But trust in your equipment doesn't come back overnight, especially not after your integrity has been questioned in public for weeks. And Oakmont does not forgive hesitation. Here's what that looked like in real time. Picture standing on that first tee Friday morning. You're unsure about the club in your hands. You've got weeks of criticism sitting in the back of your head. You just missed a cut. That's the version of Rory McIlroy who walked onto Oakmont, and the course didn't wait to expose him. 2 double bogeys in his first 3 holes. From there, every shot brought a new problem. Every mistake seemed to compound the last one. By the time he reached hole 12, he was sitting at 8 over for the tournament. At a U.S. Open, that number puts the cut line directly in your face. Every single swing feels like survival. His approach on 12 didn't go to plan. The ball buried itself in the rough, and something snapped. He grabbed his iron and launched it through the air like a tomahawk, in front of thousands of spectators and every camera on the course. A birdie on 15 gave him a brief moment of air. The crowd around the green responded. For a second, it felt like he might pull something back. But that moment didn't last. Hole 17, a short par 4. The kind of hole that's supposed to give you a breather after a brutal stretch. His tee shot drifted offline and left him almost nowhere to go. Everything that had been building since hole 12, the weeks of criticism, the equipment doubt, the bad start, the double bogeys, all of it came out in one swing at a U.S. Open tee marker. The marker exploded on impact. A piece of it flew backward and struck him in the leg, right there on live television. For a moment, nobody moved. Not the crowd, not the cameras. Even the commentators went silent, and that kind of silence on a broadcast says more than any reaction can. Within minutes, clips were already spreading everywhere. Golf fans who weren't even watching suddenly saw it on their phones. Some called it the most shocking thing they'd seen from Rory in years. Others said it looked like a man who had been holding something in for far longer than one bad round. Then he finished his round, walked straight past the media, and said almost nothing. Now here's where it gets serious, and this is the part that could follow Rory well beyond this tournament. Stay with me. Damaging USGA property during a major is not something that gets quietly ignored. Rory is expected to receive a bill for the tee marker. That part is confirmed. But people close to the situation believe a fine alone will not be the end of it. Look at the full picture. He already had tension with the USGA over the driver ruling. He's now avoided media at 2 consecutive majors. And he physically destroyed tournament equipment on camera during the most watched event in golf. That's not 3 separate incidents. That's a pattern. And the USGA watches patterns. There's talk of mandatory media availability, formal warnings on file, and closer scrutiny of his equipment for the rest of the season. And Rory's team? Not a single statement. No apology. Nothing on social media. When a player goes quiet after something like this, it usually means one thing. They're waiting to find out exactly how serious a response is going to be. Here's why this matters beyond just Rory. He is the face of the PGA Tour right now. After everything with LIV Golf, he's the player the tour needs to look strong, calm, and likable to the wider sports world. Instead, fans are watching their biggest star come apart in real time, smashing equipment, avoiding cameras, looking like a man who doesn't know where to put himself anymore. For a tour already fighting to hold its image together, this is the last thing they needed during major week. But here's where it gets complicated. Despite all of it, the double bogeys, the iron throw, the tee marker, Rory still made the cut. And on Sunday, he went out and shot a 67, his best round of the week. Calm, controlled, completely composed. Afterward, he talked about the Open Championship at Royal Portrush, his home country, just a few weeks away. One day, a man destroying tour property in broad daylight. A few days later, the calmest player on the course. But a 67 on Sunday doesn't erase Friday. The USGA bill is still coming. The questions about his equipment, his temper, and his relationship with golf's biggest governing body are still there, unresolved. If anything, the contrast makes everything harder to explain. So here's what I'm watching now. The Open Championship at Royal Portrush is coming. His home crowd, his home country, the place where golf means something deeply personal to him. If the USGA decides this is a moment to send a message, not just to Rory, but to every player watching how this plays out, Royal Portrush could be where we find out exactly what that message looks like. And I'll be covering every single development right here on Analysis PGA. My take? This is far from over. The version of Rory who cried at Augusta and the version who destroyed a team marker at Oakmont cannot both exist at the top of the sport without something eventually giving way. So I want to know, do you think Rory deserves some slack here? Or is enough finally enough? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I read every single one. And if you want the real story behind moments like this, not just the highlights, not just the takes, subscribe to Analysis PGA, because we're just getting started.